All right, everybody, welcome to Tesla Today. Today's show is going to be all about Tesla energy. So about 6 days ago, Elon was at a PG&E summit, and he said that energy needs for the world's going to need to triple, and there's not enough. So he's begging utilities to increase their utility output. Plus, in Q1 and Q2, Tesla's earnings calls, they actually shared lots of information about energy business, and it is growing like gangbusters. So today, let's sit back, let's do a deep dive, let's find out where we are with Tesla Energy. And as you'll find out, Tesla Energy is a big deal for Tesla now. It's already significant and material, and it's growing really, really fast. So today I've got Randy Kirk with me. He's the author of 2 books on Elon Musk. He's the host of his own YouTube channel called Randy Kirk. He's been pumping out 2 videos a day. You should go check out his channel. But Randy and I actually did an interview about Tesla Energy many moons ago, many moons ago. And this is before the whole hype about Tesla Energy coming out. And he was already getting hyped up himself. As we know, it's Randy. So, Randy, welcome to the channel. Appreciate you.
Hey, great to be here as always.
Okay. So let's get started with, I think the first thing would be this PG&E Summit summary of this video. But actually, before I do that, Randy, why don't you share some stats you were just sharing with me about Tesla's energy business?
So, there's always been this kind of, who's going to be the next Tesla meme that has gone around. And a lot of people have said, well, Tesla will be the next Tesla because it'll go another 10 times or another even 100 times in terms of the market cap eventually. But that was kind of a broad meme. So I've narrowed it down now. So the next Tesla will be Tesla energy storage. And where do I come to that? Well, first of all, what Elon just said. But roughly speaking, over the next 3 to 4 years, there will end up being 5 Lathrop plants, each doing about 20 billion in sales. That's 100 billion in sales. So I did a quick analysis, did a quick lookup, and it turns out that there's only about 100 companies, publicly traded companies, that do 100 billion or more sales. Tesla now is just about to enter into that group. On a run rate, they're just about there, and they will this year, I'm sure, do more than 100 billion. But Tesla, and it took how many years to get there? It's like almost 20 years from the founding of Tesla for Tesla to get to 100 billion. Tesla Energy is going to get there in like 6, and they're going to be at 100 billion in sales in roughly 3 to 4 years. So, because we don't know how many plants or how fast they're going to open. There's also only about 25 companies, publicly traded companies, that do more than $25 billion a year in profit. Well, if Tesla is doing 25% profit on the energy storage business, the energy division will be one of those 25 companies that will be more than 25 billion in profit. And that's just the beginning, because Elon says the goal basically is to be at least 10 times that. And I'm sorry, not 10 times, at least 4 times that number. So we talk about 400 billion in gross revenues, which would make it second or third in the world right now in gross revenues. And it will be about $100 billion in profit, which would make it Apple level. So that would make it worth 3 trillion, just if you use the same PE as Apple.
Right. And that's just not even assuming, and very likely, that Tesla's going to launch more Megapack factories than they've already announced. Of course, they've announced the Lathrop, they've got the Shanghai. And then one of the nice stats that I just love repeating, or it's not a stat, but it's a little nugget of information, is that if you look at every single world leader that Elon Musk has visited in the last year, they turn out to be the 9 out of the 10 top economies in the world, except for Japan was the only one he didn't visit. He met with all the other 9, and very likely he's been negotiating Megapack factories for each of those economies.
Yeah, it
So
wouldn't surprise me at all to just start cookie cuttering these out.
yeah,
We would be looking at needing about 20 Lathrop size factories to hit his goal, which isn't huge. I mean, that's just
which is a
20.
lot. Yeah.
It's not. That's not a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start off with what he just he himself was at a presentation at July 25th, and he spoke at the PG&E Innovation Summit. And what he said was, "I would just say whatever your demand is, predictions are for electricity I suspect that they're too low. We need a tripling of output. You can mark my words here. Output will triple. So let's watch this. It's a minute and 40 minutes segment from ABC news outlet.
People are going to use a lot of electricity, like a lot.
Tesla founder Elon Musk joined PG&E CEO for a riveting reality check in order to power all the electric vehicles that will be coming down the road and the electric heaters and stoves that will replace natural gas. What will it take?
I would just say, whatever your demand predictions are for electricity, I suspect they are too low. We need a tripling of electrical output. So you can mark my words here, electrical output will triple.
So yeah, it's mind-boggling, and it's, we're at an innovation summit today, and today is about innovating with new R&D and new technology.
The challenge is how to upgrade electrical output at the lowest cost to society, but it's going to take billions of dollars for a utility that's already struggling financially with lawsuits.
We have to have a grid that is ready for the demand that electrification will bring, and having a regulatory construct that enables that, and a engineering team who goes from a mindset of operate and maintain to a mindset of growth.
How to integrate all the electric vehicles with multitudes of new solar and wind and battery resources requires a new platform, including a new distributed energy resource management system unveiled today by PG&E, Microsoft, and Schneider Electric.
So in order to solve some of these big challenges around decarbonization and democratization and just the digitization of energy, we've got to work on a unique platform, and we've got to work in partnership and in concert with each other.
Musk urged the crowd to think less about building new power plants.
Fortunately, we have the sun, which is throwing off absurd amounts of energy, and it's zero maintenance, and it just shows up every day. It's amazing.
In San Ramon, I'm Leslie Brinkley, ABC 7 News.
So I've actually played that clip before in a previous show, and I made a comment that it's unique. It's interesting that Microsoft was even part of the partnership, Microsoft and Schneider. But I want to ask you. I mean, I thought that is there any chance that because he actually did this at the PG&E summit, would PG&E be open to partnering with Tesla? And they invited him to present there. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Moss Landing is a PG&E effort. That is one of the largest Tesla Megapack installations in the world. It's a huge Northern California installation. So they're already in business together. So in terms of them partnering, who knows what that might look like in the future. But I would think that PG&E, like others, are looking at every possible resource right now, because the real limitation is the capacity to manufacture the solar panels, manufacture the wind turbines, manufacture the energy storage facility, manufacture the additional lines that are going to be necessary, et cetera. I mean, it's one thing. What is left out of the intro that we've done so far is that we know that there is the electrification of the cars. We know there's the electrification of things like gas heaters in our homes. But one of the big ones is data centers. Data centers currently use 3% of the electricity in the United States. One data center can commonly take as much electricity as like a small, like 100,000 population city. They'll put these data centers next to dams because they need that kind of energy coming into the data center to keep it cool, to keep the air conditioners running. So there's a massive need for electricity going forward. I'm not sure. It sounds like PG&E and others are maybe starting to get it, and Elon is now ringing the bell and saying, okay, how do we work together to make sure that there's enough energy? I see the first bottleneck coming in about 27, 28, and that's not a long way from now. So what do we need to do to get there?
Hey there, thank you for joining me. If you can, please consider supporting this channel so I can keep it going. It's a lot of work arranging all these amazing interviews. One of the easiest ways is just to click that join button and become a member of the channel. Thank you very much. Let's get brighter. Yeah, so a couple of points. I'm glad that you brought up data centers, because there's, clearly there's an AI boom, and these data centers are just going to just explode. And you just said that they require a tremendous amount of electricity. So did Elon. mentioned that as well. There's an EV boom that's going on. And so that's very, very interesting. The other thing that showed up in that video that I was very excited to hear was you heard Elon mention again about solar. Solar is free energy, right? So I've been predicting that at some point, Elon and Tesla is going to have to get into the three pillars of the sustainable economy, which is pillar one is energy generation, which today Tesla doesn't do. And so whether they partner or they do themselves, they're going to have solar farms. And so I think he just keeps bringing it up, right? It's free. So you're going to have solar farms to feed those batteries. So what's your thinking on
As,
that?
as important as solar farms are, I think the solar farm thing will happen kind of on its own energy, so to speak. Anyway, but I think there's people out there. There are people out there who have a vested interest in putting up these solar farms and making them work. Solar over canals, that's another one that's I think going to be huge. Solar in other water situations, those are all being explored. But I think the one that Tesla might be more inclined to be part of is solar in smaller situations. In other words, solar on factory roofs, solar on military installations, solar on their own energy, their own supercharger stations, and not just over them, not just in canopies or whatever over them, possibly in the parking lot, in the shopping center next to it. But also, if they don't have enough energy that way, maybe they even buy a bit of land or a bit of solar roof capacity locally in order to make sure that they're 100% off the grid with regard to those units. So I think there's opportunities for Tesla with their existing technology to be able to, in their existing product lines, to move that out of just residential. First of all, they need to strengthen residential. I don't know what's going on there. They need a new VP or somebody new to run that division, because they should be putting a lot more solar on roofs. But then taking that to manufacturers, to government, to shopping centers, et cetera, et cetera. I think that could be the distributed energy, which is so much more needed than the, what do you want to call it, the utility size installations, where you have all this loss by going over the utility, the major power lines.
Okay. And then regarding that video, so you were quite interested when you heard that, right? When you heard Elon say we need to triple the energy. Did you have more comments on that?
I put out a YouTube video within half an hour of seeing that particular. It wasn't that video, but it was one that was of that same PG&E conference. Yeah, I mean, the main thing is I'm gonna do a huge video on this later, and then we'll talk about it maybe next week. I think that there needs to be an Eisenhower moment. And for people that are too old or haven't read their history books, Eisenhower famously, not he personally, but his crew, designed the national highway grid. There was no national highway grid. That happened during the Eisenhower administration. I think there needs to be an Eisenhower kind of moment right now where the federal government takes a look at this from 35,000 feet and says, okay, what do we need to do in terms of localization, regionalization, rules and regulations with regard to existing factories and other large rooftops? What do we do with regard to parking? France is already requiring it on new parking lots. Maybe it needs to go on existing parking lots. Maybe there needs to be some government help with regard to financing some of that. I've famously said that even though I didn't like the IRA, I liked what it's accomplishing because it's bringing on manufacturing back into the United States. So an IRA type of thing that would motivate, really put the motivation, really put the opportunity to make these local and regional facilities, local and regional production as well as storage. I think that's more important than the large utility size efforts.
Wow. Okay. That's a big statement. And I mean, that's they're already doing quite a bit, but you're saying they should do more, right? Because they're already doing the
Lots of-
IRA. They already got which is a massive investment or incentives, not just for EV cars, but also factories being built, mining being happen. You think there should be bigger than that? or
Yeah, just
innocent?
different because again, I may have said this on your show when I had my factory, it was only 25,000 square feet, but that was a pretty good size roof. And 35 years ago, I called in the folks and said, "Is it make sense?" Because I was using my largest bill, my rent and my electric bill were the same. Okay, so I was looking for opportunities to get that electric bill down. I almost moved from California to another state to get my electric bill down. And so but factories don't get it unless somebody is knocking on the door and saying, here's what we're going to do for you if you put this solar up there. And governments too, they're not doing it. The governments are just not doing it without some kind of a push.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Let's cover Tesla's energy business. Let's take a look at revisit the numbers that was released in Q2. So here's some beautiful charts as we all love Roland Percher. If you haven't followed him, you should. He has some great charts. So he basically said the energy business for Tesla became more profitable because of lower costs. And it's actually starting to contribute to the bottom line for Tesla's income and loss statement. So if you take a look at this, the green is the automotive, the red is service, and the yellow, this orange yellow, is energy. So of course it was massive losses. Well, I guess not massive, just tiny losses here from 2019, 2020, 2021. It's all losses. Then kind of a break even for 2021. And then, all of 2021's break even in 2022. Here we are in the Q4 of 2022, Q1 of 2023, and Q2 of 2023. And you can see the orange is starting to grow. It's starting to be something visible on the line and starting to meaningful. And as we just said, and if as you'll see, this is going to double by the end of this year at the least. So that's the income, and you can see it there. And here's the actual energy business, and the green is the revenue. So you can see the revenue kind of flat again, and it starts going up. We expect revenue to be lumpy, and they've said that because the contracts are lumpy, and the way that they can recognize revenue is very lumpy. But rest assured, they have contracts for 2 years straight. They have the demand for this is going to be unlimited. It's just really about them being able to produce enough, and the cost of revenue is starting to be less than the actual, the revenue is going up, and so the income, you can see the red line here is the income, and it's skyrocketing. This is an exponential curve in income. What's your comment on this table?
Yeah. So first of all, people need to remember that part of the drag on income here is solar, because solar is losing money. And so this would even be more pronounced if it was 100% energy storage. But yeah, this is going to, in another year, this chart is going to look like automotive. It's going to be, even faster than automotive. The acceleration will be even greater, and the profits will be faster. There's so many things that are great about this energy business. First of all, there's only 2 or 3 players, 4 players, maybe tops, in terms of serious players. Tesla is going to have by far the most capacity, and they have by far the best software that goes along with it. So they're going to own the business, but then there's an unlimited TAM in addition. The TAM is massive, total addressable market. And it's not the things people think a lot of times. The number one addressable market is where a utility buys it just to manage their energy use. It's not even for the solar or for the windmills. It is for managing the energy use. They can save millions and millions and millions of dollars by having their energy coming into the batteries and going back out again, and then managing the distribution. So, and that TAM alone would use up Lathrop's capacity for years and years and years into the future. And then you've got all the other applications as well. And then it's recession proof. So this orders are 2 years out. They only allow them to be 2 years out. If they opened up the orders, they could have them 4 years out, probably at this point. It's an incredible business, and it's going to be as big or bigger than auto, and as profitable or more profitable than auto.
Okay, so we're going to share more information, but right now I want to share another table from Roland, and he just, as of today, the end of July, at the end of Q2, he's showing that Tesla's already deployed more energy storage this year, just in 2 quarters, than it did all of last year. So you can see here the green is Q1 and the orange yellow is Q2. And already we're already double that. So we're going to expect to double last year because again, Lathrop is now moving along quite nicely. So here's just a beautiful chart right here. Okay. And you can see that we're at the, we were at 4 gigawatt hours in Q1. Now we're at getting close to Q2. We'll be past 8 gigawatt hours. So we're going really, really fast here. Okay.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this one?
And then, yeah, well, just that, this is just the first factory again. We got Shanghai. We don't even know if they've broken ground because this may not be a new building. They could be taking over an existing building. This doesn't require a perfect structure. They can put it in any square building. So we're not sure where they are on Shanghai, only that they're going to do it. And then again, is impossible. Well, we know the plan is to open 20 of them. It's not a surprise. It's not something that Elon can announce next week and go, oh, by the way, we're going to do 20 of these. They're going to do the equivalent of 20 Lathrops before the end of the decade. And that will be an Apple-sized business.
Yeah. So we have been waiting for the announcement for the launch of the Shanghai Megapack factories. And many of us are kind of, saying, why isn't it happen? Brian White for My Tesla Weekend, he has said that sometimes, quite regularly in other scenarios, we don't notice that this has happened. Then later they'll go, oh, by the way, this building, here it is. Right. It's already, that's when we're going to do it, like you said. So it could very well be happening. So what I like to do here is go back and revisit all of the statements that Tesla has made about Tesla Energy since this beginning of this year. So we'll go back to the Q1 transcript, we'll go to the Q2 transcript, and we'll kind of revisit all the things that they've said. So go back to Q1, the Q1 earnings call. This is what they said. Our energy storage deployment reached nearly 4 gigawatt hours. This is by far the strongest quarter ever. This growth was achieved thanks to the ramp of the Megapack factory in Lathrop. And there's still a ways to go because that Megapack factory can go up to 40 gigawatt hours. And as you saw in the chart just recently, we're now nearly 8 gigawatt hours. And so, that's close to, 4 plus another 4, right? It's going to be,
5 times. It's 5 times as much. Yeah.
Yeah. 4 plus another 4. So we're at 8. We're at 8 now. And so we've got 5 times more. And that's just growing faster and faster. And then we announced the Megapack factory in Shanghai. And as they said this statement, the storage growth will significantly exceed the vehicle growth. That means it's got to be more than 50% growth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is.
Yes.
That they repeat quite a bit. And then the second question, do you still believe energy will be bigger than auto? And when will you provide more formal guidance on Megapack and overall Tesla Energy? So Elon said that it's going to be bigger than auto, but based on total gigawatt hours deployed. So he said it's possible that automotive revenue may be higher, but gigawatt hours, it'll be higher for stationary storage. And if you look at just the transition required for sustainable energy economy, there's more stationary energy storage needed than there is mobile energy storage. So we are seeing growth of storage and stationary storage well in excess. So he just repeated, it's going to be more of that. And then Zach Kirkhorn then talked about the guidance. And this is what got me very, very excited. Last quarter, he said the guidance on margins, we'll get to that point where we are, here's the thing. He said, okay, we will get to the point where we are providing guidance on a storage business. So this is the cool part. He's going to be talking about volumes as well as financials. And they're going to be probably doing, if you look at the last line, I think it'll be a few more quarters before we get there. So this was in Q1. So maybe in Q3, maybe Q4, they will start reporting on Tesla Energy. And so that's going to be like, you can't miss it anymore. That Tesla Energy Tesla is not a car company. It's also an energy company. And the other point I wanted to make that I'm really, really excited about was this is Q1. The first 3 questions asked by all the analysts were all about Tesla Energy. That's why they're answering it now. So this is a big point, okay? Because prior to this, nobody gave energy a boo. They didn't even think that Tesla was an energy company. Now they're asking about it. This is Q1. So then the other thing that Zach said was on the margin. Some people thought this was a negative statement, but basically, in terms of margins for the energy business, they said mid 20% gross margin. That's their general approach for any program. And so we're not there yet on this business, but that's what we're working towards. We'll hopefully get there later this year, but that's not a promise. That's an aspiration. So they're saying that a 20% margin on the energy business is later this year. Now, let's pause there for a second because I think that people were thinking that there might be 50% energy margins on energy. And that's clearly like a pie in the sky, Tesla retail people wishing upon wish. But I think part of the reason why the margins aren't here yet is because when you get to the 50%, what that is usually the ongoing service. And right now, they're just launching these programs. And this revenue is going to be SaaS business, the auto bidder business, and the management of these for the contracts. That's where the high margins come in. So I think they're just not going to say it at this point, and it might be years. But then at that point, you'll see the margins grow. That's my interpretation.
So,
What's yours?
there's another piece to this too, because Bradford Ferguson and I'm forgetting Zero Sum 30. Somebody else. There was a third person that was involved. Did a lot
JP.
of really, yes, did a lot of really original reporting and analysis of what the costs were involved in this. And they might have missed something, but really, I looked at the numbers over and over and over again, trying to see if I could see anything they missed. And I couldn't find any real big mistakes that they'd made. And they were coming up with more, I would say more on the order of 40% margins. So it could be that they are reticent to say, yeah, we think we might get to 40% because, you don't want to say that to your customer. The customer is going to come and start beating you down if they think you're making 40%. But I'm still, I'll be interested to see. I think it'll be 2 years. I think it'll be another 2 years before we really get to see what the margins really are.
Okay. Yeah, agreed. So the Q2 report, there's actually only one question that was on Tesla Energy because the beautiful thing about Q2 was 3 of the first questions asked by analysts was all about AI and FSD. So it's just so wonderful to see how the story is changing quarter by quarter, and the analyst who's going to be the last, folks to even talk about it until they start seeing signs of movement. Tesla's a car company. Tesla's an energy company. Tesla's now an AI company, and they talked about AI and FSD. Do you know what they're going to ask questions about next quarter?
Probably the robot more than anything else.
Come
I'd be
on.
optimistic.
Exactly. You want to make a bet? I'll make you a bet. There will be an analyst question on Tesla Bot in Q3 earnings call. Yeah, we've made a few statements on this.
There should have been in this one. They're just behind the time. I don't know what's happening.
Some people are saying that talking to you so much, you're pushing me to the right. To be very, I gotta pepper myself. Stop talking to Randy.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look at what they talked about. The question that they was asked here in Q2 regarding energy. And so somebody said, can you talk more to the upcoming Tesla energy products and how your thinking has evolved on the revenue model, given Tesla's AI capabilities? See that? Q2, it's all about AI, the AI boom. How do you see the long-term mix between hardware margin and recurring software margin from AutoBuilder? So what's beautiful about this question is that because of the AI boom, because of NVIDIA popping, the world is now interested in AI. Now they're realizing that Tesla Energy isn't just a hardware sale, it's the AutoBidder. And the AutoBidder is what you described, right? The ability to manage the contracts of when to sell and when to buy the energy. So if you have stationary energy, you get the energy and you then release it when it's most expensive, when it's most needed by utilities. And that is run by Tesla's AI. They're learning how to do that so well. No other company, as far as we know, has that capability. And the recurring software margin is massive for this AutoBidder. So this is what they answered. His answer was, well, we can't comment on future product roadmaps. Yeah. But the quick energy Q2 update, is, yeah, Megapacks are growing strong demand globally. Lathrop is successfully ramping. We've got tremendous amount of contracts, projects. As stated last, the margins are in a reasonable place, in line with our target market vehicle, which in line with the vehicle target margin, so that's mid 20s. The second final assembly line at Lathrop is progressing schedule. So we are ahead, doubling Lathrop's capacity ahead of our full factory ramp in 2022. So it looks like they're moving fast on the Lathrop. And then they talked about all the exciting large projects that they have, all these projects everywhere, Australia, California, and even here in Gigafactory, Texas. It's hilarious when, few people know that all these contracts are being signed. And then on the auto
Yeah.
bidder question, these contracts in wholesale markets, again, they're happening. Australia, Texas, UK, California. 6 gigawatt hours under Tesla's dispatch. In the UK, our projects perform best in industry in Q2. So auto bidders are already being out there, it's being used. It does have software margins, and it's an enabler for hardware sales. Small contributor to revenues now. Given how much deployment is occurring, it's important to remember that these large projects, these large capital projects, have lifetimes of 20 years of recurring revenue on an annualized basis. So they're small relative to the upfront capex, but they last for a long time. And then they'll add up to each other, right? So, and then of
Yes,
course, the
absolutely.
residential side, fun things, the 500,000 power walls installed. So, yeah, what was your reaction when you heard all this, Randy?
Yeah, and that's only the beginning, because as you pointed out, you have the potential for Tesla to do their own solar farms. But even if they don't do solar farms, they are certainly going to be generating solar energy and putting in batteries at all their superchargers. They're going to be doing it in terms of these virtual power stations. They're virtual power virtual power.
Power plants,
Yes. So
VPPs.
VPP, yes. And so you've also got them opening themselves up as utilities so far, at least in the UK and in Texas. I think there's one more that I'm forgetting, where they're actually establishing themselves as a utility as well. So all of this is part of a takeover. I saw a headline the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but this headline said that Elon Musk now owns the stars. I think Elon Musk will eventually own the
The
basically the
sun?
utility business. The sun. Yeah.
Yeah, they own the sun. They own the stars, own the sun, own Earth. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think people understand that these, if you look at the largest companies in the world, right, Saudi Aramco and all the
Right.
Chevron and Mobil and all these guys, it's oil, it's energy, and as
Yeah,
serious, yeah,
you may have seen earlier today that I think it was ExxonMobil
hmm
that has
yeah,
now contacted Tesla, as well as General Motors and Ford and others, saying, "Oh, would you like us to supply you with lithium?"
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
it's they know what's going to happen. I mean, the oil business. We don't know when peak oil is. We
yeah,
may have already seen it. It's a different definition now, meaning the peak production of oil
right,
necessary to do what oil needs to do. We may have already seen that 2 years ago. Maybe we haven't, because with this dramatic amount of energy that we're going to be needing over the next couple of years, they might still really need to pump more. Um, Maybe not. Natural gas might be the place where they really need to pump, and the environmentalists don't like that. And I'm sorry, but we may have to pump a lot more nat gas in order to get an electric future. That seems crazy, but it's true.
yeah. I'm trying to find the table. I wish I had thought of this, but that's right. That we have already passed peak oil, or it's going to happen very soon. I can't remember now what Elon said, but seeing and hearing Exxon talking about that they're going to get into lithium. I don't know if it's a mining and refinery, but they want to be a provider of lithium to all of these companies, including Tesla, of course. And so it's clearly they knew that this is going to be the world. Things are changing faster. And one thing I want to remind folks, I just spoke to uh, Adam Dorr of Rethink X, and he's he's like a futurist, and they do all sorts of analysis and tables and and data. And what he said was that, of course, electric vehicle transition to sustainable energy is an exponential curve, right? It's a new technology. But what he wanted to remind everybody was when you have a new technology that's growing exponentially, the incumbent technology falls exponentially. And so people underestimate how fast that the ICE cars and the oil industry is going to die. And so,
No, they definitely.
I don't know yet, because I know it's also very hard to kill legacy. It's tough to kill legacy, and they're going to do everything they can to stop you, which is why we've been seeing and hearing all this, FUD attacks. But when you hear Exxon saying we're not getting into lithium now, and we need to be a big provider, they see it. They know that they need to move. Otherwise, they'll be caught.
You and I are old enough to have seen a whole bunch of different companies get disrupted, a whole bunch of different industries get disrupted. Some of them surprisingly hang on longer than others. I mean, newspapers and magazines, I thought there wouldn't be any such thing by today, but they were disrupted badly. We're talking about a massive, massive change of where the capital was being distributed to, but they've hung on a little bit. I don't think ICE cars will hang on at all. It'll be gone. And my prediction is 2027 we'll see the last ICE car manufactured of any quantity. Sure, there might be a couple.
You are just too much, buddy. That's a little too much. That's too much.
Hey, by the way, Tony Seba and Kathy are on the same page. Both of them are saying 2027,
crazy.
2028.
No.
It's true.
No.
It's true.
2027, the last ICE car will be manufactured in 2027. No, buddy. Right. That's too much.
It's a whole nother show.
That's a whole nother show. All right. Well, yeah, that's not true. Again, you got to remember that people are pointing out, let's say that Tesla can produce 20 million cars tomorrow, next year.
Yeah.
Who's going to make the next 80 million? Well,
all right. So do you want to do that show now? I'll just give you the quick. Give me
a minute.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
65 million is all we really need to make the transition in 2027. So for a couple of years, we won't make as many cars. So 65 million that year, 15 million will come from Tesla. Close to 15 million will come from BYD. 3 million or so will come from Kia, from Hyundai, from Volkswagen, from the ones that are really the most advanced right now and able to produce. And a couple of the startups in China will do well. And then you'll get a couple of million from GM, a couple of million from Ford, a couple of million, maybe 3 million from Stellantis. They seem to be a little more advanced. When you start adding it all up, you can get to the 65 million. I did the numbers, 4 months ago. You can go back and look at my video, or maybe it's time I do it again.
I just added up what you just said. It adds the 40 million, not the 60.
I said there's another 20 that are on my list. Anyway,
it's not happening, buddy. But okay, next show we'll do something like that. Thank you so much, Randy. Appreciate it. This is Tesla Energy is a big business. I think we can all agree to that. It's growing exponentially, and Lathrop is now it's at least 50% up there. No, I'm sorry. It's at 25%, right? So at 10% of the 10 gigawatt hours of the 40, and but it's going to be faster and faster for them to get full production, and then China is going to go. So you are going to see something from 4 to 8 gigawatt hours to 20 to 40. Then you've got another 40 plus even more from the Shanghai, and by that point they'll probably announce more Megapack factories. So it's already showing up on the margins in the whole business. Pretty soon, it's going to be way more than 5%, even 10% of Tesla's revenue, and very quickly. Okay. Thank you, Randy. See you soon.
You bet.